So about a month ago, I purchased this Fender standard Stratocaster. It's one of their new budget models. And after doing my in-depth review on it, I noticed that one of the biggest flaws on this guitar is the shielding. They did not bring the shielding all the way up inside the cavity to touch the pick guard. They did not. They just sort of slathered the shielding paint in there, and it's just really sloppy, and it's a little bit noisy. So what I thought I'd do today is show you guys how I would take care of shielding a single coil guitar like a Strat with copper foil tape. So if this is something you're into, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd love to have you here. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave it down below and I will get to it as soon as possible. Alright, let's take a look at this thing and I'll show you what I mean. So I will try to make this so you can hear what I'm talking about. There's a little bit of buzzing going on, and it's fairly noticeable, and we're going to see if we can make it better. So here is the bridge pickup. Now if I take my hand off. Here is the middle pickup. Here is the neck pickup. So you can hear it's humming a little bit. Now, when we do a Faraday cage, it's not going to completely take it away, but I think we can get a little bit better result using some copper foil tape, and so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so let's get this pick guard off of here and take a look and see what was done with the shielding paint. So as you can see here, the shielding paint is done on the bottom really well, but they did not bring it up the sides of the cavity, so it's not going to connect with anything from the pick guard. They put that little bit of shielding tape over where the electronics go, so there's a little bit of paint there, but really, if you wanted to do it fast and quick, you could get some more shielding paint and just finish this off like it is, and you could be done with it. But I personally like using the foil. It has quite a bit less resistance than that stuff does, and I just feel like it works better. So let's see if there is any continuity here, just to make sure that it's actually shielding paint. So it is continuous. You can see there's a little bit of resistance, but it's fine. It would work fine if it was just had a better job done with it, but that's just the way it goes with these things. It's a good reason why you should take your stuff to a tech and have them take a look at things if you don't feel comfortable enough to open it up and take a look at it. But it is shielding paint, it is continuous, and it just needs to be done a little bit better than that. So you're going to need a few things. The first thing you're going to need is some copper foil tape with a conductive adhesive on it. It's $8 on Amazon. It's thin, it's relatively easy to work with, and it's good stuff. Also, I use a tack cloth to clean out the cavity, just to get rid of any dust or debris or anything like that. And then a pair of scissors is always nice to have. Also, a razor blade, X-Acto knife, or both of them is great too. So let's start with the pick guard. And the way I do this is I just cut relatively manageable pieces. I try to keep it as flat as possible, but this stuff does wrinkle really easy. So you can do this where you could cover the whole pick guard, or you can just cover up where you need the tape. And this one we're going to do just where we need the tape. So I sort of start right where the screw holes are for the pickups, and then I just make sure that it's stuck really well and overlapped, and then I go right over the top of the factory foil tape that they have on there. You don't have to worry about it being too thick or anything like that. And just make sure it's sticking really well and that everything's overlapping and touching really well. The adhesive is very sticky, but you just want to press it a lot to make sure that you're doing good there. And then I just take my X-Acto knife or razor blade and cut out the holes. a really sharp blade is nice for this because it just gets through it and you don't have to worry about any of that. I trim out any of the edges or any of that stuff, and make sure that nothing's shown on the, when you screw the pickguard back down on top of the body of the guitar. So, but like I said, the stuff is really thin. It's easy to use. You don't really have to worry about overlapping it too much because it's so thin, and it really, really works great. I really like this stuff a lot. So let's check for continuity. As you can see here, I'm checking it in different spots on the pickguard just to make sure that we're getting to 0 and we are just fine. So this would be a perfectly fine looking shielding for the pickguard section of this. And now we move on to the body of the guitar. So this is the tack cloth. Now this is just an old painting trick I used. The tack cloth will pick up any debris or anything like that's sitting down inside the cavity that will keep this foil tape from sticking. So another thing you want to do is manageable pieces again, but also you can press down on top of the ridge of the cavity and the stuff creases really easy. So that'll give you sort of a guidepost where you can use your scissors to trim it, or give you an idea of where it's at. As you can see here, you can see right where it traced right around there. So it's an easy way to mark the stuff up because you just want to use manageable pieces. Now this time I tried to do the sides first. I normally start with the bottom, but I wanted to just try something a little different this time and see how it went. And it worked fine. And like I said, just manageable pieces. There's a lot of nooks and crannies and stuff in here, so sometimes it tears and rips and you have to fill in with other little tiny pieces. But the stuff is so thin, you don't have to worry about any of that. And then the same thing with the bottom. Just try to make it as manageable as possible. I start with the center and I work my way toward the edges. That way it will conform to, the side, where the side and the bottom of the hole meet, and it just feels like it just does a little bit better. It helps with wrinkling and that sort of thing. This stuff looks pretty bad just because the shielding paint on there was pretty crappy as far as not being smooth or anything like that. There's nothing we can do about that. And then so we just go slow, work your way through it, and then try to do as little pieces as possible, but it's just the way it goes. Next we're going to do the input jack cavity. Now this has a metal cover over it, and what you want to do is make sure that it's sticking up just to cover the metal. Make sure it's touching the metal cover, so you don't have to worry about putting anything on the back side of the input jack plate or anything like that. So this is pretty simple too. I mean, it's a little harder to get in there, so it's a little bit tricky, but this is what that looks like when it's all said and done. Now, the input jack cover and the electronic cavity are not connected. So what I do is I just run a small wire from one to the other and then solder it to the actual copper foil tape. There might be other ways to do this, and if you got a better way, let me know. I'd love to hear how you guys do this, but for me, this just seems to be about the easiest and most simple way to do this. This will help with the grounding, and it will also help with the shielding, and it just, all in all, it's just a good way to go. So we solder that up and get that going, and there really ain't nothing to that either. It sticks just fine. This is what it looked like when I was all done with it. And so now we are connected. And then we have the ground wire that has to go back on. So we just screw the ground wire back onto the copper foil there. And then I want to test for continuity again. And that's just going in random spots like we did before. Check the cavity. That's all looking good. We're also going to double check the ground just to make sure that's good, and everything looks good now. So let's take a listen to it and see what kind of improvement we made with it. Okay, so now that we got really good shielding with the copper foil, and we have a really good ground now too, I want to do another noise test just to see how much more it cleaned everything up. Here's the neck pickup. See, it's definitely much better. We'll go to the middle. Bridge. Yeah, it's definitely much better. So that's just one of the things with these single coils, is that they are a bit noisy, but as you can hear here, it definitely does make a difference. So there you go. If you found any value in this video, please give it a like, share, or even subscribe if you like. I'd love to have you here as a subscriber. If you have any questions, please leave it down below, and I will gladly get to them when I can. Thank you. Have a great day.